What if I told you that good vibes only might be the reason you're still stuck? Yeah, that sentence you've got on a candle in your bathroom. That mantra your yoga teacher won't shut up about. Honestly, it might be quietly wrecking you. Stick with me, because by the end of this video, you're going to look at every Raise Your Vibration post completely differently. So here's the deal. You've heard this advice everywhere. Stay positive, protect your energy, don't let anything heavy near you. And look, I get why it's appealing. It feels like relief. It gives you words for stuff you already sort of knew. That your mood matters, that some people drain the life out of you, that walking into certain rooms just feels off before anyone says a word. None of that is crazy. Your body is basically a walking lie detector. Your nervous system is clocking tone, tension, warmth, danger, all day, every day, without you even asking it to. But somewhere along the way, this chill idea turned into a full-blown obsession. And that's where it gets messy. Feeling calm stopped being just a feeling. It became a personality trait, proof you were evolved. Meanwhile, sadness got treated like a spiritual L. Anger got labeled low vibration. Grief, something you needed to clear out ASAP like a bad Wi-Fi signal. Here's what I think happened. Instead of teaching people to be honest, this whole culture taught people to be polished, calm on the outside, absolute chaos underneath, smiling in your Instagram story while your body is internally losing its mind. Sound familiar? Be honest. You're out here doing affirmations while resentment is sitting in your chest like a brick. You're meditating, but low-key, it's because you're terrified of what happens if you actually sit still and feel something. You keep telling yourself, I've forgiven them. But the second their name pops up on your phone, your shoulders go up to your ears. What if the whole climb to a higher vibe thing is actually just a really elaborate way of running away? Okay, picture this. Your energy is like sunlight coming through a window. If the glass is clean, light just comes in, naturally. You don't stand next to the window yelling, more light at it. That would be insane. You just clean the glass, wipe off the dust, the smoke residue, the fingerprints that built up over years. That's literally how your presence works too. What people feel when they're around you isn't some performance you're putting on with perfect thoughts and positive playlists. It's just whatever your system has actually learned to carry. And every single thing that's happened to you leaves a mark. Getting rejected teaches your body to brace for impact. Getting betrayed teaches it to scan every room for danger. Shame teaches you to shrink before anyone even says anything. But love softens all that. Safety literally slows your breathing down. Here's the part that honestly kind of messed with my head. All of that builds what we're calling your emotional baseline. That's the place you land back on when the music stops, the podcast's over, the retreat ends, and nobody's watching anymore. Most people call that your vibration, but that word makes it sound way more mystical than it actually is. The real question is way simpler. What emotional weather has your body basically moved into permanently? Fear, control, urgency, shame, or actual quiet trust? Because here's the twist. You can feel amazing for 1 hour at a concert and still be operating from pure anxiety tomorrow morning. You can feel unstoppable right after a ceremony and still make every decision from a place of feeling unworthy. What if the vibe you feel for an hour has basically nothing to do with the life you're actually building? That temporary high, it can inspire you, but your baseline is what's actually steering the ship. This is why trying to just look radiant without getting honest is so exhausting. You're basically decorating the smoke alarm instead of checking if there's an actual fire. You're polishing the mirror instead of dealing with the person standing in front of it. And here's the thing that freaks people out. Your body knows when a smile is covering up grief. It knows when gratitude is being used to shut down anger. Real peace only shows up when the inside and the outside stop fighting each other. Now here's where this whole culture really messes people up. Pain doesn't disappear just because you gave it a cuter name. A wound wrapped in silk is still a wound. But high vibration culture treats hard emotions like uninvited guests at a fancy party. Anger shows up and it's immediately shown the door. Grief walks in and everyone rushes to shift the energy. Fear tries to speak and it gets drowned out with positive affirmations. You might call that spiritual discipline. Honestly, sometimes it's just rejection wearing a nicer outfit. Here's the crazy part. Every one of those emotions is actually trying to tell you something. Anger's showing you where a line got crossed. Grief's asking you to actually honor what mattered. Fear's pointing at where your system still expects danger. Shame's flagging some old story you picked up before you were even old enough to question it. What if repressed emotion works exactly like holding a beach ball underwater? You can hold it down, maybe even for years, but your arms get tired eventually, and all your focus goes into keeping that thing hidden. Then, one day, it shoots back up to the surface, usually way harder than before. That's repression. The more desperately you chase feeling high vibe, the more energy you're burning just to keep the unacceptable stuff pinned underwater. Real healing isn't drowning in your emotions forever, and it's definitely not making your pain your whole identity either. It's being able to say, yeah, anger's here, without turning into a jerk. Yeah, grief's here, without deciding life is over. Yeah, fear's here, without letting it drive the car. Here's what's honestly wild to me. Your inner state doesn't just sit quietly inside you. It leaks into everything. How fast you reply to a text, how long you hesitate before saying something real, who you trust, what ideas you write off immediately, what rooms you avoid without even realizing it. Most people's lives don't get shaped by one big dramatic moment. It's hundreds of tiny decisions made completely under the radar. Someone running on fear builds a totally different life than someone running on safety, even if they never notice it happening. What if you've been missing good things in your life? Not because they weren't there, but because your nervous system was too busy scanning for threats to even notice them. Some people call what happens next synchronicity. Random conversations landing at the perfect time, doors opening out of nowhere. Maybe the universe responds to a karma signal, or maybe a regulated nervous system just finally starts noticing stuff that was there the whole time. Either way, the results are real, but none of this kicks in because you forced yourself to vibrate higher for one weekend retreat. Real transformation happens when your resting state actually shifts, when you don't need chaos to feel alive anymore, when peace stops feeling suspicious, when your gut reaction isn't automatically defense mode. That's the real elevation. Not floating above being human, but getting so rooted in your humanity that fear stops running the whole show. You don't need to be a more spiritual person. You don't need to look zen 24/7. You don't need to erase your anger or outrun your grief or feel ashamed for having a nervous system that's just reacting to your life. So stop asking, how do I stay high vibration? Start asking, what am I actually afraid to feel when I'm not performing? Honestly, that question alone could change everything for you. Your light was never missing, guys. It was just covered up by stuff that used to protect you,